Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Sandeman Street podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. I'm Andrew and as always I'm joined by my regular co-host Jack. Jack, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, especially after the weekend's football. Don't suppose we could say the same thing about you?
No, definitely not.
No, we'll get into that soon enough. As it's Derby week, we've got an added treat for you. Martin, how are you?
Oh, well, glad that I'm no longer a season ticket holder going to watch this United team, to be quite honest with you, but apart from that, not too bad.
Good to hear. And since it's Derby week, we've got an extra surprise for you, and my cousin Neil is back, hopefully for some rants. Neil, how are you?
Hi, good mate, yeah. In recent weeks they've kind of cancelled my rants. I can't really say too much at the moment. I've normally got a bag full of stuff to moan about, but I'm sure I'll find something. Thanks for having me on again.
Not a problem. Before we get going, we've got social media that I like to plug. On Twitter, we are at SandemanSTPod. On Instagram, we are at The Sandeman Street Pod. And on YouTube, we are at The Sandeman Street Podcast. If you could find us on all those, give us a subscribe, give us a like, give us a follow, share, all that sort of thing. It is much appreciated. As always, I say that every week, and I do mean it. So thanks in advance for that. Jack. United exit the Scottish Cup at the Falkirk Stadium. 2-1 victory for Falkirk. It wasn't the greatest first half for United, was it?
Rubbish, mate. Stinking. You want the players to be right up for it, and they didn't seem to be up for it at all. Jim Goodwin always comes out saying before or after the game that the players won't need motivating. And every time he says it, we'll get pumped. So there's obviously a disconnect there somewhere. But as for the game, I think United were rubbish from the start, to be honest. And Falkirk took advantage. Ultimately, we were able to get a goal back just before half-time, and then we did push for it second half, had a few decent chances. Sats for hitting the post, amongst others. And unfortunately, it wasn't our day, and the ball stayed out the net for a second time. So, yeah, obviously disappointing, especially knowing that we could have played Dunfermline in the next round. But that's United under Goodwin, unable to get the wins when we need them.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a recurring theme in the big games under Jim Goodwin. And Martin, in anticipation of yourself coming on the podcast, Friday night you sent me a text saying get ready for some explicit content because you didn't think you were very happy yourself. So here's the platform for you to get things off your chest.
You know what, Andy? I don't like coming on here and swearing and, just descending into total emotional nonsense, but fuck me, what a way for the season to come to a split or an end. Yeah, there's football to be played still, but, the season's over for us. A season that started with such high hopes and expectations when we're putting the kind of performances in that we did against Rapid Vienna in the first few games in the league. Where's it went wrong? What the hell is going on with this United team? It's an absolute embarrassment. It really is, and I'm going to speak quite emotively. I try and keep a calm and objective head on things, but I really just am sick of it. Sick of what I'm seeing every week from this United team. It's the same sound bites. No, the players don't need motivated, or this and that, and the players are well up for it. Well, maybe they're well up for it in training during the week, but they certainly didn't look well up for it on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's just bewildering to me how a team that showed so much hope at the start of the season, after having time to gel and get to know each other, have just gotten progressively worse, and clearly from what I'm seeing are not playing for the manager anymore. That's my take on it anyway. I really think Jim Goodwin's lost the dressing room. And coming in here right at the start of the podcast, all guns blazing, a divisive topic, but I'm in the mindset that he's got to go. He's got to go. This team has regressed under Goodwin massively this season. And where do we go from here? We're only going backwards. Are we going to magically start going forward as a team? If we are, there's absolutely no signs of it just now.
Well, I've been asking Jack that question every week for the past few weeks now about whether or not he would keep Jim Goodwin in post. Jack, you've kind of wavered a bit. In recent weeks, you've become more of the opinion, I think, it might be, you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong here, you've become more of the opinion that you think a change is needed, and I don't think the Friday night was going to help that cause any.
Very much so. I think as time's come to an end, I think, like Martin saying, we're regressing. The players are getting worse. I've yet to see a manager quite like Goodwin in which a player comes in that seems to have a great deal of ability about them and progressively gets worse as the season goes on, the way that they do under Goodwin. And I think if we want to move on and progress and push up the table for next season, it needs to be a change of manager because Goodwin's not the man to do it for us.
Before we get into the nitty gritty of the actual game, Neil, I know you're a busy man, but did you catch much of the game on Friday night, the United game?
Yeah, I did actually. I watched it all, and as Jack kind of said, it was a game of two halves, was it? Falkirk arguably could have been out of sight in the first half. Goal before half time, obviously, exactly what you want as a United fan. And I expected them to kick on. They did, to be fair. From what I remember, they come out and they were unlucky not to be back 2-all. Slightly off topic. I think Falkirk are one of the most overrated top six sides you'll ever see. Didn't think they're anything special. Obviously, that daft plastic pitch that they play on is a massive advantage to them. But yeah, United could easily go back to 2-all, and who knows after that. But game kind of just teetered out in the end, and kind of that was that.
It's funny you say that because although Falkirk have had a very good season and the league doesn't lie, they are where they are, and you're in a league phase, you're there on merit, if you know what I mean. But if seen them firsthand as a Dundee fan, and the 3 times I've seen them, I've never been massively impressed with them. Listen, I'm not trying to knock them in any way here. I think that they've had a great season and well done to them. But I think if Dundee were to have found the form that they found now, 2 or 3 months earlier in the season, they could be knocking on the door with them for the top 6 place. But they're not. Falkirk are there and they deserve to be there. But back to the game on Friday, Martin, the nitty gritty of the game. United just didn't seem to be able to find a good goalkeeper, did they? I mean, that first goal. Am I being harsh by saying that the keeper should do better?
Kim, what? I think the keeper probably should do better, but again, the defence has got a lot to answer for, as it has been the whole season. You know, I think if you were to go back to the podcast after the Rapid Vienna game, as good a game as that was and as good as United were, the 2 goals we conceded that game from wide areas, and that has been our Achilles heel all season. We have had umpteen goalkeeper related calamities this season, but our problems are far more than a goalkeeper. Our problems are tactical. Players getting played out of position, one formation that Goodwin seems to know, and if that doesn't work well, you're beat. It's just it really is a catalogue of problems, and obviously if the issues at the back with the goalkeeper hasn't helped that, but really I don't think it's fair to pin anything on a goalkeeper. We are just a calamity of a team right now that can't seem to defend, can't seem to score. It's not a good combination, is it?
Certainly not. And obviously
No.
Martin mentioned, Jack, that he feels like this team's been regressing. And it's hard to argue with that because you look at, I mean, I know it's one player, but you look at the boy Esselink. He comes in at the start of the season, Jack, where huge fanfare, and everyone thinks that he's looking like a really good signing, and he has a good start to the season like most of the United team, but his drop off in form and ultimately not even making the starting 11 now is indicative of all the problems that are going on with United, in my opinion, because they just haven't kicked on at all, have they?
No, not at all. Like you say, at the start of the season against Vienna, we actually looked quite a competent team. And then the season started in the league, and it's just gradually got worse as the season's progressed. Other teams are gelling and clicking, and we are doing neither of them. As for S-Link, yeah, start of the season, I thought the boy looked really good, really composed at the back. He made a few mistakes, he was a bit slow, and since then he's been bombed out of the team. He's not even in the starting 18, never mind the starting 11. I don't know if it's a S-Link problem. Maybe he suits better on a 2 at the back rather than a 3 at the back. Goodwin's got to try and figure that out. We've got 5 defenders, 6 defenders, and none of them seem to be very good at 3 at the back. So surely, as a coach, you look at that team and go, right, well, okay, we've got 6 defenders, but 3 at the back isn't working. Let's put 2 at the back, see how they work like that. Because I can almost guarantee all the defenders in the club will have played 2 at their back their entire career. I doubt many of them have played 3 at the back for more than a season or 2. If you've spent 16 years, 18 years coming up through academies playing football, you're almost certainly playing 2 at the back. So why not play that formation and then see how it works? That's what we should do from now on, because the season's a dead rubber for us. There's still the slight chance we get relegated, but apart from that, it's a dead rubber. So you might as well try and change tactics and see what works. And I don't see him doing that.
I mean, you only have to look at Presley. I mean, Dundee started the season playing 3 at the back, very, very quickly went to 4 at the back, and I wouldn't go as far as saying they've never looked back, because it's been a slow process to get to the form that they're in just now. But he very quickly identified that wasn't going to be the formation for him. He wanted to play 2 strikers. We now play 1 striker, and we're doing a lot better than we did when we were trying to play with 2. So it's certainly a hard formation to have success with. I know, Martin, you'll probably be in agreement with that on that fact with Jack.
Yeah, totally. All these defenders at a club, and he insists on playing this 3 at the back nonsense with players totally out of position. That game against Falkirk, he's got Savelge playing in that back 3. He's a fantastic midfielder, that Savelge. He's not exactly a big guy, so why is he getting played in defence? It honestly baffles me, the tactical ineptitude that Goodwin shows week in, week out. I've actually got on my computer screen a still just now of the cross coming in for Falkirk's second goal. And who's closing the boy down that's delivering the cross in? It's Zach Sapsford, striker. Who's on the 18-yard line as that ball comes over him? Lucas Stevenson, midfielder, who's been getting played that sort of right wing-back role all season. I really am lost for words. I shouldn't have came on the podcast tonight because I've got no words for it. I'm totally lost for words. It'll be a cold day in hell when Goodwin thinks, right, there's a striker, you know what, we'll keep him up the top of the park, or there's a midfielder, we'll play him in the middle of the park. It just baffles me why he shoehorns players into positions that clearly they're not able to play in anywhere near to their capability. He's just so stubborn with this tactic that he seems to play, this 3-5-2 or whatever it is he wants to play with it, the attacking wingers, fullbacks, whatever you want to call them. It's the most frustrating thing to watch week in, week out. And if I can sit, I don't even go to the games, and I can sit and tell you it doesn't work. He's the manager, paid to make these decisions. What is he thinking after every game? It must have crossed his mind. This isn't working, so you know what? We'll maybe try something a bit different. But it's the same nonsense every other week. I mean, there's Savelge, for example, playing in the back 3 against Falkirk. Why? We've got other defenders at the club, and he apparently had quite a good game midweek against St Mirren. In the middle of the park, not in defence. It just baffles me. You know, we've just re-signed Johnny Russell, brilliant signing. It would not surprise me if he ends up playing in that back 3 at some point.
They're propped up with his beard, his lumberjack beard. I see a tweet, and I don't know, you guys can probably tell me how fair this is. I seen a tweet that said that Ross Graham is you guys' Cammy Kerr. Now, judging on isolated incident of Falkirk's second goal, his marking was pretty atrocious. I don't know if you would agree on that statement.
It certainly wasn't any good. I'll tell you that for free. But again, it's just, you know, that ball comes in, flies over these players and goes in. The boy's sort of in between the 2 defenders, Graham and Savelge. And what happens when the ball goes in the back of the net? The 2 players just turn around and look at each other, put their hands out as if to say, he was your man. No, he wasn't. He was your man. And it's like, where's the communication? Where's the organisation in this team? It's totally non-existent, week in, week out.
Not great. And, I mean, I know that we've done this a lot this season, looking back on the players at the beginning of the season, but if you go through all the players individually, Jack, I find it difficult to understand how they've got into this position. And I mean, you guys, it's not like you, I know it's obviously very, very clear that you don't go to Tannadice as often as you maybe would like, but you'll have a better idea than me when I'm saying this, but you've got like boys like Sapsford. He's a good player in his day. The boy Kamara seems to be a decent player in his day. He's clearly like the boy Savelge. United fans seem to rate Ross Graham. I'm not convinced myself, but as I say, you guys see him more than me. There's a player in Ryan Strain, because he was a player at St Mirren. Will Ferry, there's a player in there someplace. So it's not like it's a bad team with bad individuals. So Jagged clearly seems to me that they're either getting coached, they're not getting properly coached, or they're getting played in a formation that does not suit them.
Absolutely. Like you say, we've got players on that team who could do a job probably at a higher level. You've got boys like Lucas Stevenson, who, okay, this season he hasn't been great, but then is that the way he's been played tactically? I don't know. Last season he was good, and he had offers from the Championship, from Liverpool last season. This coming into this season, so he's clearly got ability. Kamara played at League One level in England. He's probably, arguably, one of our best players. Like you say, Satsford, he's fell off a cliff recently. He's not scored for many games now. We've signed Johnny Russell, who, okay, age 35, probably hasn't got the legs he used to, but we all know he's got the ability. He's made 14 appearances for Scotland. He's clearly got something there.
You've seen that though, and like he might not have the legs that he used to have, and obviously he's played in the MLS, and whether we spoke about this off air or on air last week, where the MLS in overall quality is probably better than the Premier League here, but the pace of it is no place near the pace that we play in Scotland. But you've seen it with Johnny Russell, the quality, just like wee passes from the corner and knowing where to be at the right time and things. You never lose that.
No, definitely not.
So coming off the bench for half an hour, 20 minutes at the end of a match when you potentially might need a goal to win or draw level, he's a good player to have. You've seen that on Friday.
Within minutes of him being on, he set up an opportunity, set up a chance for Satsford. He's clearly got that ability. He's clearly got that experience to know what's going to happen on the pitch and read the game. And you need players like that. But he's not going to be able to solve the situations that are happening because of tactical ineptitude. It's almost all down to Goodwin, in my opinion. He's a manager incapable of making change. He wants it to play out the way he imagines it to play out. And unfortunately, that's not the case. If it worked out that way, he'd probably be the best manager in the world, but he's not. So, yeah, it's really frustrating. I think it's all on Goodwin because these players are probably good enough to push on higher up the league, and we're just not there.
And just before we move on from the Falkirk game on Friday, I'll bring you both in on this. Obviously, you're wanting Jim Goodwin to be removed from his position. Do you think that should be done now? Do you think that should be waited until the end of the season? And is there any names that stick out for you who you would like to replace him?
I'll go first. I think if he doesn't change the way he plays now, I think you've just got to get rid of him and get a new manager in, try and set his ways in as soon as possible so players can adapt and the club can adapt around it. As for who I'd want in, I'd like to see a foreign manager come in. We've seen what happened with Motherwell. They've brought in a foreign boy and he's best manager in the league, in my opinion. I'd like us to go down that route. There's a boy in Ireland, Stephen Bradley, at Shamrock Rovers, who's doing well with them. Obviously got them some big wins in Europe. I think he'd be a good acquisition for us potentially. Apart from that, I don't really have any big names, but I think a foreign manager is the best way to go.
Yeah, I myself, I think now's the time to go. The season's over. Bottom six finish. I kind of see we're getting relegated, luckily. There's teams in the league, Livy, Kelly, that are really quite poor, St Mirren as well. I kind of see us having any sort of danger of falling at the playoff spot. League Cup, papped out by Kelly, who are sort of flirting with a playoff place. Scottish Cup, papped out by newly promoted Falkirk, who, to be fair, have been doing quite well this season. That's no good enough and it's inexcusable. Get them out now, give a new manager time to come in and assess a squad. The new manager's got nothing to lose this season. Who would it be? Honestly, there's nobody really that I can think of. I've heard a few people saying Neil Lennon. Sounds good on paper, but it's one of these things that, you know, you could bring him to Tannadice and it's a totally different setup at Tannadice compared to what it is at Dunfermline. I think a lot of people were saying that after they beat Aberdeen, which to be fair is no great achievement for any manager. Jim Goodwin would probably manage that. No names in my head at the moment, but I really think we just need to get him gone. Get a new manager, time in to sort of assess the squad, tinker about with formations, try and get the best out of these players before the end of the season and see what he's got to work with for the season after it.
I have always said that you don't keep a bad manager in place because there's no obvious replacement out there. There's always a replacement out there. So, yeah, we'll soon see. But I do feel like this weekend's game is shut or bust for him. I think if he gets beat for Dundee again, that's 4 defeats for Dundee. United fans didn't tolerate that.
No, and I'll be honest with you, Andy, I know we're going to cover this later on in the podcast. Going by what you're saying, if that's the case, he'll be out at the weekend because I think the derby's only going to go one way, to be honest with you.
Well, Dundee have got previous for going into derbies thinking that they're going to win and then dinner, so we'll soon see. But we'll speak about that later. Neil, we'll bring you back in because you've not spoken for a while. My hosting skills aren't the best. Dundee, great result on Saturday, continuing an all-round feel-good factor with a few decent results. I mean, if you were to say Aberdeen away, Hibs at home, Motherwell at home, and you were to take 7 points, you'd snatch your hand off for that, wouldn't you?
Aye, no, you're fine, Andy. It's better letting the United boys talk about United. They watch them week in, week out. So, yeah, you're right. To be honest with you, I thought we'd turned that corner before the Falkirk and Livingston games, and so unlucky against Falkirk. Obviously, we're missing that penalty in the last minute, and then the absolute collapse at Livingston was just an absolute horror show. But obviously, I thought that might be a downward spiral after that, after being so good, and then, you know, like I say, those results, I thought we might have went the other way, but no, to go. I know Aberdeen are absolutely honking, but to go away there and win, I mean, that's the ultimate bogey ground for us. So to get a win there, yeah, I think it's really turned the corner. And to be honest with you, watching the Hibs game, to go 1-0 down, I did fear the worst, but to be honest with you, the Hibs didn't do anything to get that. Obviously, they've scored. Other than that, that's all they did. Anyway, Dundee go 2-1 up, and in my opinion, they're absolutely coasting. Not a problem. And Hamilton, who's been one of our better players this year, just has an absolute nightmare in the middle of the park. I'm screaming at him to chuck the ball down the left-hand side, just in any space. And he ends up losing the ball, and obviously, you know, they get the equaliser. And as soon as they get the equaliser, they're up. And, yeah, you saw the third goal coming. But again, you know, show that resilience and peg Hibs back, get the third goal, and yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And if I'm being honest with the Motherwell game at the weekend, to be honest with you, I would have snatched your hand off for a draw. I mean, I know you joked at would you call them Motherwell Madrid at the start of the season with this podcast, and I didn't think anyone in their wildest dreams.
I mean, a humble pie for that, though, have I?
Yeah, to be honest with you, at the time I was kind of silently agreeing with you, but like, no one saw this coming. No one in the league saw this coming at all. And fair play to them. They've done great, but you know, the times that they've played them this year, Dundee, didn't look that great, to be perfectly honest with you. Certainly at Dens, but good result the weekend. John McCracken decided to be a goalie for a change, which is always welcome, which means he'll probably have an absolute nightmare on Sunday. So, yeah, good to see him actually playing and earning his money for a change. I think the stats, and I hate stats, really, to be perfectly honest. I hate when people talk about stats in terms of actually defining it, you know, the outlook on a game, but Motherwell obviously had quite a bit of the shots and possession, all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, it means nothing when Dundee take 3 points. So, yeah, good. Really, really happy. And to be honest with you, as you just said, it's not a great, comfortable feeling playing so well going into a derby. 20 years ago, yeah, that was great. Recent memory, yeah, it's not great being that confident going into a derby because, you know, you end up with egg on your face more often than not. But yeah, it could be a chance to get Goodwin out. I mean, obviously, Dundee fans are hoping he stays, of course. But for United fans, yeah, he's got to go. That United team's far better than what he's getting out of them. And if that's the case, it's only down to one man or one man in his background staff. So I'm with you on that, guys. I think he needs to go, but maybe wait till the fourth derby's over before punting him, all right?
You know what, right? I knew that you would want to speak about McCracken because we've both been very critical of him this season. And in fairness, when he has made errors and when he's had poor games, I have come on here and I've been critical. So it's only fair after having a good game like he did on Saturday that you come on and sing his praises, because he was excellent on Saturday and, in my opinion, was harshly never given man of the match. The save that he had in the first half, what is it, Fadinger or something like that, was an outstanding save, and it took a deflection as well, low down to his right. He got up, and then to block the rebound, and then the ball gets laid back and the boy shoots wide again. So, yeah, very, very good, and it was good to see. The problem with John, I feel, is his consistency. I think you touched on that as well, and his consistency has let him down. So hopefully that's his good run started, and he can take that into the weekend, because that's exactly what we need from him. We need another performance like at Tannadice, but he was good at Tannadice as well, to be fair to him. So yeah, well done to him. As for the game, I often feel like when you're at a match, as opposed to watching it on telly or listening to it on the radio or whatever, you get a wee bit of a different feeling to how the matches went compared to, as I say, watching it on TV or whatever, because ever since I've come away from the game and I've heard analysts speaking about it, I've listened to the telly's podcast today and whatever, and they've spoken about it. They spoke about it more like Motherwell had loads of the ball, had all the chances, Dundee went up the park twice and scored, and it didn't feel like that at all. Motherwell had a lot of possession and probably had more shots at goal than Dundee, but it felt like Dundee, it didn't feel like Dundee were backs to the wall at all. That Dundee had their moments and absolutely thoroughly deserved to win the match, in my opinion. I didn't think that it was a smash and grab at any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how much you've seen of it, Jack. I suppose you would have watched the highlights before coming on here. What did you make of that? I mean, it's obviously an excellent result for Dundee. And as Neil did touch on as well, Motherwell have been to Dens twice this season, never won. We've taken 4 points off them this season, and I did all the Motherwell Madrid stuff at the beginning of the season. I have eaten humble pie for that. They have been excellent. But Dundee have had a good record against them, and 4 points is a decent return.
Yeah, it's a really good result for Dundee. I think McCracken deserves plaudits, like he's rightly mentioned. I think he made some really good saves, kept you in the game, and ultimately probably won you the match. The first save you mentioned was a phenomenal save, great reflexes. But yeah, Dundee looked decent. I think Motherwell, looking at the highlights, Motherwell did look the better team. But Dundee seemed to have Motherwell's number at home. Not many teams can say they've got 4 points out of Motherwell this season. I think Dundee are on a really good run at the moment. Yes, had a little blip with Livy and I think it was at Sandeman maybe. But apart from that, you've been on a really good run. And if this had come earlier in the season, I think you could have been higher up in the table and pushing for the top 6, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to get too greedy, but yeah, you do as a football fan. You do get greedy, and it's definitely difficult to not think that way. I don't know how much this season you've seen Martin of Dundee going into the derby, obviously off the back of a good result like that. I see a good stat as well that Dundee, the only team they've not taken points off of this season is Hearts.
That's a very good start. That's a very impressive start. The fact that you've had results against teams like Motherwell, who are flying at the moment, and you never know, could be challenging for that second or third spot, the way things are looking with the Ugly Sisters from Glasgow. In terms of Dundee, I wouldn't say I've seen much of Dundee this season, but I've definitely heard a lot about Dundee this season. And for all the bad things that were said at the start of the season, they're proving everybody wrong. They're a team that, I don't know if they're playing particularly good football as a team, but there certainly seem to be a few individuals in that team that can get the ball and make things happen. And there certainly seem to be a team that, unlike United, have a bit of dig about them, have a bit of fight about them, and seem like they're playing for the manager. You know, Presley's obviously got a vision of what he wants on the park, and the players have really bought into it and seem to be knocking their pan in every week, and it might not be working every week. Dundee are a team that are going to be up there with Celtic and Rangers. Hearts as well, Motherwell. Most teams aren't, but you seem quite stable, and if anything, you are just going to climb up maybe a position or two in the league.
Absolutely, and I know that Stephen Presley's definitely all his focus is on we want to survive and that's it. But I think Dundee now should be really aiming, Neil, to finish best of the rest in the bottom six, not without the realms of possibility. Yeah, I think that's definitely what they should be aiming for. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that's definitely the aim now. I mean, as you said earlier in the podcast, a couple of months ago, if we'd hit this kind of form, you can't really say that, because at the start of the year, I think every pundit, everyone that had an opinion on Scottish football put us down, and which I thought was a bit mental considering that absolute pub team Livy come into the league. I mean, to say Dundee were automatic relegation boys was just absolute nonsense. Kelly, didn't really expect them to be this bad, but I did expect them to be bad.
I did when Neil McCann took over.
Yeah, although he kind of got them turned a wee bit of a corner, kind of, but thankfully they've no fully went round that corner. And obviously no one foresaw St Mirren's drop. So, as well as saying, it's great, a couple of months earlier we might have been pushing for a top six, and now we're looking to finish best of the rest, which would just be a great achievement. Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. But I think first and foremost, just be safe, get safe, and I didn't even want to have any worries about that playoff spot at all. But United and Aberdeen on their day, don't we wrong? I know Aberdeen are honking, but United on their day and Aberdeen on their day really could give anybody a game, and you just never know with these last remaining games. Dundee have got hard remaining fixtures before the split.
Yeah, they do. And Tynecastle plays Celtic as well. We've got hard games before the split, yeah.
And I think, I'm hoping there must be Albert Kid must have grandkids somewhere in Dundee that could pull on a shirt for the day in a couple of weeks' time and go and spoil their party, which would be hilarious. But hard fixtures remain, and I mean they're absolutely nowhere near out of any sort of danger yet. It's going well at the moment. In my opinion, just keep the heat down and keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, a win at the weekend would just be absolutely fantastic. I think it would be that kind of reward for how far we've come from the start of the year, which we all know was awful, but kind of to be expected with such a new team. A win at the weekend would be fantastic. But a derby's a derby, and as United and Dundee both know, doesn't matter what form you're in before a game like that. It's just what happens on the day. Bit of a cliche there, but
definitely. I mean, it's hard to look past this season because there's so many things that could still happen. But if you look past this season, I really hope that they manage to go into next season without so many loan players. Because you look through the squad, Scott Wright, can't even get on Saturday, and what a player Scott Wright could be for Dundee if he was fully fit. But they've got their best players are pretty much all loans, are they? I mean, Luke Graham isn't a loan, but effectively he is because he'll not be here next season. You've got the two wingers who are causing everybody absolute nightmares, and they're probably not going to be back next season. Jan Danda, who I thought was outstanding by the way on Saturday, he's not going to be here next season, and even this season he's not going to be able to play against Hearts in a couple of weeks.
Andrew, I think, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the Jan Danda thing, that's going to be an interesting situation because there has been games where he's been brilliant, and there's been a few games where he's not been. But if Hearts go and win the league or finish second or third, whatever they're going to finish, they've got to be looking at better players than Jan Danda.
Well, that was what I was kind of going to build up to say. Was going to say, do you think there's any chance we can get him back?
I think you'll get him back, and to be honest with you, it might be one of those. I have absolutely no idea of the financial situation at Hearts. I know it's better than Dundee's, so they've got to be thinking maybe just get the boy off the wage bill. Maybe cut down low price. I don't know. I don't know how these things are worked out these days, but I think there's every chance, and it all depends on Yandanda, of course. If he gets offers from other boys that are offering him more money, then you know which way he's going. He's certainly not got any love for the city of Dundee. But I'm sure if everything's going all right off the pitch, then I don't see why he wouldn't want to continue playing for Steve Presley, who obviously rates him.
Well, the feeling coming out and the rumours coming out of the club, every other player seemed to really like Stephen Presley, especially boys like Ashe, Yagan, etc. They all seem to absolutely love him. So maybe that works in our favour. The fact that he's comfortable here, he's playing good football here. So you never know. I think when he signed for Hearts, he was on a 3-year deal. So a year left on his contract. I don't think it's out with Dundee's possibilities to get him back on a permanent deal. They're obviously not going to get Yagan, Congreve, those sort of boys back. I mean, they could potentially get them back on loan, but you'd have to think that Congreve will be knocking on the door of Swansea's team. Maybe not so much Yagan in terms of Brentford, but I mean, how good are Swansea? They're bottom half of the Championship.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going back out to the Ogan, and I said it right from the start. You remember me sitting in the Derby with Andrew, and I says, I rate this boy, and he wasn't quite showing what he's showing at the moment, obviously, at that time, but I knew there was a player in there. I'm giving Blinken Rossignol a wee call at the weekend, and maybe get the Chelsea to sign him. He's absolutely fantastic.
I'm not too sure about that. Although he fits the profile of Chelsea, because Chelsea didn't want to sign anybody who's got any sort of experience. But
yeah, I know. Obviously, I was joking there, but that's how highly I rate the boy. And like I said, I saw it as soon as, albeit it was at the group stages in the first couple of games of the Premier League season that I saw him. But I thought there was a player there, and going back to Stephen Presley, you see the interviews sometimes. You know what I'm like after games and stuff, especially if it doesn't go our way. You want a manager, somebody who's come out and be angry and blame the officials, which they could clearly do in quite a lot of the games Dundee played in this year, as could United, I'm sure. And you want him to be a wee bit angry and blame somebody else, but he's so calm, and I think that's kind of probably a great outlook on his personality in terms of how he probably deals with the players on a day-to-day basis as well. He's probably one of those arm round your shoulder kind of gaffers, which I always loved, and he probably gets the players on side that way as well. So he doesn't look like he could fall out with a lot of people, which is always good.
And how good was the Jobby comment? That was sensational in my opinion. I absolutely loved that.
Yeah, I've heard that obviously through in Edinburgh. I speak to boys of various persuasions in terms of the football teams go. I've heard that off a few guys. It was a strange one, I've got to say, but he's like you say, you're never surprised at what he says. He does come away with a couple of crazy ones, but he's doing well, long may it continue.
Absolutely. And just to bring you back in, Jack, we will go over our score predictions from the weekend, and pretty decent from you. You've managed to retake the lead in the challenge. So the Dundee United Falkirk game, obviously at Falkirk Stadium, was a 2-1 victory for Falkirk. I went for 2-1 United. You went for 2-1 Falkirk, which was the correct score, so 2 points.
Boom, boom.
Dundee against Motherwell finished 2-1. 2-1's all round. To Dundee, I went for 2-0 Motherwell, you went for 2-1 Motherwell, so 0 points for each of us on that one, but you add the 2 points to your total, which makes you now on to 22 points. I'm behind on 20, so another wee bit of a gap opening up there on that one. Just before we move on to the Futbology Challenge, which we're going to do a wee bit earlier this week, we'll just cover the rest of the card from the Scottish Cup and the Premiership from the weekend. On Friday it was obviously Falkirk 2, United 1. On Saturday in the Premiership it was Dundee 2, Motherwell 1. And in the Scottish Cup it was Dunfermline 3, Aberdeen 0. Moving on to Sunday, it was Celtic against Rangers at Ibrox, 4-2 win after a 0-0 draw. It was 4-2 win on penalties for Celtic. We're not even going to begin to touch on that. I'm keeping myself well out of that. And St Mirren beat Partick Thistle 2-1. to progress. So Scottish Cup semi-final draw, Celtic against St Mirren, and a wee bit of a derby, Falkirk playing Dunfermline, which is a tasty one.
It'll be a great game.
It will be a good game, and it just goes to add to my gripe that Dundee are the most cursed team in the world when it comes to cup draws. And you look at St Mirren, who have been fucking terrible this season, and they've won a cup and they're in a semi-final of another in. Anyway, no getting started on that. We'll move on to the Futbology Challenge. Another 4th of a week for you, Jack. So the last week's claims that you're going to win the title, further away, my friend.
Yeah, there's always a chance. Always a chance.
There's always a chance until there's no chance. But we'll hopefully get you onto that 25-point mark. As you can see on screen, Martin, you have retaken the lead in the top at the top of the table. We'll get you in to speak about your game in a second, because my game was earlier in terms of dates. I had a game from March the 9th, 2019. A crowd of 5,667 watched Hearts beat Dundee 1-0. The managers were McIntyre and Craig Levine, so as you can imagine, Dundee did get beat. The starting 11 for Dundee was Dieng, Horsfield, McGowan, O'Dea, Ralph, Dales, Robson, Woods, Curran, Miller and Wright. And the bench, Parish, Kerr, Kusunga, Curran, McGowan, O'Sullivan and Haydnius. As for Hearts, they went Zlamal, Suter, Berra, Godino, Haring, Clare, Jum, Garuccio, Morrison, Ikpiezu and Vanek. And on the bench, Doyle, Dikamona, Hickey, Bazanik, Lee, Mulroney and Whiten. The scorer was Sean Clare on 15 minutes. As for yourself, Martin, we'll go through your game before we'll see if you've got anything to say about that. March the 9th, 2024, a crowd of 7,676 watched United beat Arbroath 4-0. The managers were Goodwin and our old mate Jim McIntyre. Starting 11 for United: Walton, Gallagher, Holt, McMahon, Docherty, Fotheringham, Middleton, Sibbald, Thompson, Moulton, Watt. And on the bench, Newman, Graham, Grimshaw, McClelland, Cujo, Meekison, Mockery, Tilson and Grieve. And as for Arbroath, who had Kyle Robinson sent off, they went with Gaston, Stewart, O'Brien, Little, Lyon, McKenna, Slater, McIntosh, Riley, McKinnon and Bird. And on the bench, Boric, Gold, Jacobs, Dow, Stowe, Teal, Robinson, Walker and Innes Murray. The scorers were Fotheringham 7, Watt 14, Watt 59 and Grieve 62. Is there anything that you could remember about that one, Martin?
Yeah, one thing I remember from this game, actually, it's quite a vivid memory from this match. In the first half, obviously, we were 2-0 up on the sort of about 15-minute mark in this game. And it was a really funny match in the sense that it was such a bad game to be at. It was totally one-sided in United's favour, which you would normally think, oh, that's brilliant. But in the Championship against Arbroath, I actually remember sitting and turning to my mate who was at the game when, just saying, you know, this is such a slog having to watch United play these teams in the Championship, even when we are playing so well and scoring goals. It really isn't much fun to be at, you know, watching your team playing Arbroath off the park. It's not exactly the same as if you're playing Motherwell or Hibs or Hearts and giving them a doing, is it? Obviously, it was just another 3 points on the way, getting back to where we should be in the Premier League, to be honest with you. It was a bit of a formality game. 4-0 win, but it wasn't particularly exciting. It was just another 3 points on the board.
It's often how it feels when you're trying your best to get out of that league. So a lot of the games in that league can be a slog, as you say, even if you are winning.
Yeah, you'll get the occasional game in that Championship, which is really good, you know. If you're playing Wraith Rovers away, maybe you got a good away crowd, but when you're at home against Arbroath, it's really no disrespect to Arbroath. I quite like Arbroath and the other teams from Angus, but it's just it doesn't really live long in the memory.
No. As you say, you do get good games. I remember when the last time Dundee were in the Championship, they played Morton and they were 3-1 down with about half an hour to go, and they scored last kick of the ball to draw 3-3, and he didn't even win the game. and it was just like a brilliant feeling because you'd come back from the dead and kept yourself on the march towards the title, as they say. But yeah, not a great place to be. I've seen Dundee far too many times in that league.
Yeah, but again, on about Arbroath in the Championship, the COVID season when we had Lawrence Shankland, they were beating us 1-0 going into the sort of last few minutes of the game, and we ended up sneaking a 2-1 win. Shankland with both goals, if I remember correctly. And at full time, boys were going mental, piling down the stairs and everything. You would never think you'd see scenes like that at home against Arbroath, but yeah, that was just a bit better the way we won that game. But nah, no this one.
No. Anyway, we will move on to the derby, which is why we're all here. So, Jack, since you are my regular co-host, as I always say, discuss, what do you think's going to happen? What's your thoughts leading into the big match?
I'm not confident at all, mate. I don't think any United fan is, to be honest with you. Dundee are on a really good run of form at the moment. United aren't. Dundee are very positive in the way they play. United aren't. Stephen Presley seems to be a good manager. Jim Goodwin isn't. I'm feeling quite negative about this one, to be honest. I think Dundee have more than enough ability to give us a doing. And if we go out there with 3 at the back again, I think it could be a rout, to be honest with you.
Well, that was pretty conclusive. Neil, what about yourself?
I'm not quite as confident as Jack is there. To be honest with you, I hate myself for saying it, but it's massively down to who scores first, because I think Dundee score first and a lot of boys will expect it based on recent form. But United, I think, are such a confidence team at the moment, and if United go 1-0 up, their tails will be up. Bob Shankly will be bouncing. That'll be the usual, you'll always be shite Dundee chants that they like to bring out at the derbies. And I think it'll be mental after that. But, you know what, for a change, I'm confident. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Derbies are just mental, full stop. So, yeah, I think Dundee should win the game. I think they will maybe just win it, but it'll certainly not be by a convincing manner, like Jack's predicting. I just can't see it. There's too much pride in that at stake. But as the boys alluded to earlier, if the players have down tools and they go 1-0 down and they're not playing for the manager, then yeah, there's every chance it could be. But I don't see it happening. And to be honest with you, that blinking bearded devil that's signed for United, what a player he was the last time he was at United. He seemed, if I remember rightly, he was part of a team that just seemed to dismantle Dundee at every derby possible.
A wee caveat to that, and I know that I'm going to say this as a Dundee fan, but that Dundee team that John Russell played against was fucking pish, and it was promoted into the Premier League on the final hour because Rangers went bust.
Yeah.
I mean,
but these things have always got a way of, it's no coincidence. It's just, when you see these things happening, it's almost like a story is just materialising itself into something. I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Russell starts on Sunday. And yeah, I kind of, it's the only thing I'm worried about is the Johnny Russell impact. That's the only thing I'm worried. Maybe that's just old wounds maybe getting reopened there. But yeah, that's probably my only worry, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
I think there's the army. There's some sort of military army World War II type film or whatever where the guy's got pure PTSD flashbacks, and when I think about my derby record, my PTSD flashbacks are Johnny Russell and Gary McCaskiven and Chiff J and all these boys fligging through my thoughts. But as I say, Dundee are a shite team back then. Like, Dundee are a half decent team now, but you never know. Personally, thinking my thoughts going into the weekend, it's always a dangerous one when Dundee fans have a bit of expectation going into a derby game. Went into derby games with expectation when United were a championship team and we were a Premier League team in the League Cup group phase, and we couldn't beat them. We then got them in the next round and played very well and struggled to beat them. You go in the one that I thought most when United were relegated, then I thought foregone conclusion. How naive was that? They go 1-0 down in that game, and they managed to win it, but it was a slog. So yeah, it's one of the ones.
Dundee are never good, Andrew. Dundee are never good when it comes to, the pack, the stadium. I've been at so many games where you've got the big crowd and everyone's expecting of Dundee, and they'll let you down almost every time. But I'm hoping it'll be. I don't know. There's just something different about this Dundee at the moment. And I think if United were all guns blazing, I would actually probably prefer that. I think I'd prefer if both teams were playing well.
That's kind of what I'm saying, eh?
I don't like this whole, United are almost licking their wounds and they seem like they're down and out. No, by any means, because see that squad, on paper, United have got a good squad. Like, I just think they've been led down the garden path by a mediocre manager, which I'm sure the two boys will agree.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at the derby at New Year time, and you could go back to the first derby of the season when Dundee were just totally unprepared for not just the derby, but for the season. A squad thrown together, and they got well beaten that day. But then you looked at the game at New Year, and even though Dundee had coming into the game off back-to-back wins, I think it was Falkirk and Kilmarnock, I think they'd come off the of beating at Dens, and there was still no expectation. Like, and even though United at that point in time were in no good form themselves, it didn't feel like what it feels like now, where Dundee are in good form still, but everybody thinks that they're going to win now. But United's form hasn't got any better or worse than what it was before that derby, and everyone thinks that they're really, really shite, whereas before that one they didn't. That's how I feel about it anyway. I don't know how you feel, Martin.
I remember when Neil and I were last on this podcast for the Dundee Derby special, I was talking about how, in my formative years, sort of going to the football as a season ticket holder, the derbies were a foregone conclusion at the start of every season. Neil, you were saying that you felt exactly the same way, but for Dundee sort of in the early 2000s. I can honestly say this is the first derby in all my time supporting United where I'm consigned to the fact that it's more than likely going to be a Dundee win, and it's such a strange feeling because it's a fixture that no matter how poor United were or how good Dundee were playing, I always just thought, it's Dundee, we'll beat them, because we always do. But that feeling is totally gone now. I'm sure, in the coming days, Goodwin will be out in the press with the usual sound bites. Oh, the squad are looking at a bounce back from Friday night. They're a real hardy bunch of boys that are wanting to kick on. Well, I'm sorry, but if and when that happens, that he comes out and says that, I really will not believe it until I see it. Because if you cannot get yourself fired up for a cup quarter final against Falkirk, a trip to Hampden against potentially a sinking Aberdeen, Dunfermline, St Mirren or Partick maybe, then you're certainly not going to get yourself fired up for a derby. And like you touched on, Neil, and your sort of what you're thinking sort of for the game coming up, if the United players have down tools, which I really believe they have, they're not going to turn up in a Dundee derby. They really are not. I think if Goodwin goes with his usual tactics of three at the back, which leaves us vulnerable from wide positions, as it has done all season, Dundee have got a lot of good players out wide, certainly from what I've seen. You can cause us some real damage going down those wings. And it's quite frustrating because I would say that the players that play on those wings are arguably two of our better players, Lucas Stevenson and Will Ferry, but when your job is to cover the entire length of that pitch out wide, you really can't be expected to do it all when you're playing against a team that can knock the ball about, have got a bit of pace and a bit of skill on the ball, which I really think Dundee have got, to be honest with you.
And another thing to add, I don't know how United are going to cope with playing on grass, because they're so used to playing in Shrek Swamp recently.
Yeah, we're normally used to playing on a tatty field, though. maybe we'll turn up if it's on grass. You never know. Maybe that's the problem.
I was working in St Andrews a few weeks ago, boys, and I tell you something. Those pitches are absolute lush. I seen them all coming. I didn't see a drop of mud on their socks or shorts or their boots or anything like that. So those boys have been playing they play on a carpet 5 days a week before any game. So they're well and truly used to that. But games are obviously different. I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, it's just no confidence for me going into this one. I hate to say it, it breaks my heart to say it, but I think it could go the way that the first derby of the season went. You know, United didn't really turn up for that derby, but they won 2-0. It was the most uninspiring Dundee derby I can ever remember, and I think it's got the potential of going that way. I don't think Dundee will give us a rout, because Dundee this season don't look like the team that are going to go out and give you a rout. But I think it might be a case of Dundee just needing to turn up and score a goal. You know, even if it's a 1-0 win. If Dundee turn up and score a goal, they've won the game.
I'm glad you said that derby was uninspiring, because that's probably the best way that I could have described it on our podcast after that, where it was just me and Jack. So I got called out for that. Jack, I don't know if you'll remember that for a United supporter on their socials, because it kind of came across like I was being bitter, and it wasn't my intentions. I was saying after the game, the atmosphere at that derby was so flat, and like we were in the Derry, we were all sat down. It's unheard of in a derby. We were sat down, granted because we were playing pretty shite and we were getting bit, but the United end wasn't exactly bouncing either. And it wasn't me criticising anybody. That's not what I was trying to get across. It was just that it was so flat, it was so uninspiring. The game was pretty shite, and it was a very routine win for United against the ragtag Dundee team at the time.
Andrew, you're absolutely spot on. It was one of the worst derbies I've ever seen in my life, genuinely. And that goes for 6-1 drubbins or, 3-0 wins for Dundee. 100% it was the worst derby I've ever watched in my entire life. And you know what's even worse was United didn't even get out of second gear.
You know what, I just want to add something to that. You're saying, Neil, that United never got out of second gear. At the time, it felt like, well, we didn't need to, but now looking at where United are this season, it makes me think, did we not get out of second gear because we maybe didn't have a third gear? You know what I mean? Obviously, we were playing better back then, but I wouldn't say we were playing fantastic football. We were playing a lot better than we were now, but I do remember after that derby sitting thinking, it could have and should have been a bit more than that. Why wasn't it? Why weren't the players raring to go and really give Dundee a doing? And with hindsight, maybe the players just didn't have it in them to go and give Dundee a doing. Like I say, if Dundee turn up on Sunday and score one goal, they've won the game. Maybe that was the case in that first derby. If United turned up and scored one goal, or as it turned out to be two, they'd won the game.
Totally agree with you, mate.
Very true. Yeah, I agree with you as well, Martin. Now,
Jack, as for the teams, what do you expect Jim Goodwin to go for team-wise?
I mean, it'll be three at the back. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm guessing Maynard Brewer starts on goal, despite him being at fault for a few goals already. I actually prefer Dave Richards, but I think he goes with Maynard Brewer. Three at the back could probably be Crestes, Graham, Yuvu. I'd imagine Ferry and Stevenson out wide. Middle, probably Agayi and Kamara, potentially. Out wide for United, I'm guessing Fata will be back, and I'd like to see Dolchek have a go. He managed to score the goal in that first derby, so I'd like to see him come back in the team. And up top, I'd love Russell to get a game, Russell to get a start. So, yeah, probably Russell up top for me. But whether Goodwin sees that or not is a different question altogether.
I have to say, and I don't know if this is warranted or not, but the midfield for United does worry me a wee bit in terms of from a Dundee perspective, because if United were to go with Kamara, Agee, because I've seen him on Friday and I thought there's something about him, puts himself about. Kamara's very similar, but he's a bit more technical, and if they were to drop in Savelge into that as well, it's a good midfield, that. And listen, Dundee have been playing well midfield. Ethan Hamilton's one of our standouts this season. Jan Dan has been very good recently, and Cotterill slotted in since January and hasn't put a foot wrong. Doesn't do anything spectacular, but keeps things ticking over. That's a good midfield battle. You add in Stevenson and Ferry down the sides, and then you've obviously got Fata, Sapsford, Russell, Dolchek. It's a team to fear if they're on their game. But Listen, I think if you're Dundee, and listen, Dundee will be doing this, you've got to be thinking, let's make them fear us and make them fear our qualities. And with United going 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or whatever it is with their three centre halves, it's absolutely playing into Dundee's hands with Dundee's width, in my opinion. Get Congreve and Ugan on the ball all day long, like what they did at Tannadice, and they'll fucking murder United. Like the Ugan murdered United at Tannadice.
I think any team that plays with wingers against United is going to have a field day. Three at the back doesn't work with wingers, against wingers. And against a team like Dundee, who your main outlet are your wingers, and most of your threat comes from your wingers, I honestly see Dundee causing us a lot of problems. And I don't think Goodwin's going to be able to stop it.
Yeah, none of us are coaches here, right? None of us have got any managerial experience, but surely there's absolutely no danger he's starting with three at the back. With Dundee's width has been our absolute, pinnacle this year, and there's no way he starts with three at the back. If he starts with three at the back and Dundee are starting Congreve and Ugan, which I would assume they will, if he starts three at the back, Goodwin, sack him before the 2 o'clock whistle.
Couldn't agree more.
He will absolutely play three at the back. I'll bet everything I own on Goodwin playing three at the back in this derby.
He's so stubborn with his tactic. Repeatedly, it's not worked, and it's not worked this season so many times. Even in the game, like I said earlier on against Rapid Vienna, where we played so good, we lost 2 goals from wide positions, and it's been the same shite every bloody week. Wide positions, balls coming in, not getting defended properly, getting headed in. Wide positions, balls coming in, getting tapped in, wherever in the box. And he just keeps on doing it. He just does not seem... I don't know if he doesn't think he's got the players to play another tactic or another formation, but he just seems so set in his ways that this is the tactic we're playing, and we will make it work eventually, even if that means getting relegated in the process. Not saying that's going to happen this season, but that's what it feels like. Come hell or high water, that's what we are playing. And if it doesn't work, well, unlucky.
What do they say the definition of insanity is? I mean, that seems to be the route he's going down, and surely you only need to watch Dundee a handful of times this year to realise their width's the strength. Don't get me wrong, Hamilton and that's doing a grand job in the middle of the park with Danda, but let's not beat around the bush. The width is what's killing teams this year. Yeah, like I say, if he starts three at the back, man, just punt it before.
Yep.
Punt it before the whistle.
Totally.
Do you not think what he'll do is, though, he'll say to Ferry and probably, will it be Strain or Stevenson?
Probably Stevenson, I would imagine.
Yeah. So you'll probably say to, Kamara and Savelge or Kamara and Aguiu or whatever it is, when Dundee have got their width, you drop in and help one of the wing backs. But then that's daft as well, because then Dundee have an overload in the midfield. It baffles me. I can't believe with the team that he's got and the players at his disposal, he doesn't go 4-2-3-1. It's crying out for that. Crying out for... Right. United fans, there's 2 of you here. Goalie in the goal, whoever it is, Maynard, Brewer, whatever his name is. Your back 4, you could go Strain or Stevenson. We'll say Stevenson.
I wouldn't say Stevenson. He's not a defender. He's a midfielder, and this is what gets me as well. Last season when he was at United, he was so good in the middle of the park, but he's been getting used in that attacking fullback sort of winger role, and he can do a job there, but he's massively underutilised in that position. So I would go with Strain at right back.
Okay, so there you go. So argument's sake, you go Strain, Yovu, Graham, Ferry, and then you could have Kamara and Stevenson in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. You could have who's your wingers, Fata and Dolchek wide right.
Yeah.
You could have Johnny Russell in behind Sapsford.
Mm-hmm. That's probably how I would go. That formation and those players, because with that formation, these players are playing in positions which actually play to their strengths. Do you know what I mean? If you play Zach Sapsford up top, he's hopefully not needing to be on the edge of the box trying to stop crosses coming in. That's where your defenders are going to be. You know what I mean? I don't want my striker on the just outside the box trying to stop crosses coming in unless it's absolutely vitally necessary, you know what I mean? I want my strikers up top looking for that ball coming at him for the goalie when he's caught that cross, or maybe a defender's brought it down and he's looking to hit it up for the striker or on it. I don't want him on the edge of the box defending. It's madness, and it's so infuriating.
And even if you're wanting to go slightly more conservative because you're wanting to put an extra midfielder in because it's a derby match, you take out Russell and you put in Savelge or you put in Aguirre and you go 3 in the middle and you go 4-3-3. You've still got your width and you've still got... Because when you're defending it's 4-5-1 and when you're attacking it's 4-3-3. That's exactly what Dundee are doing. It's no rocket science, is it?
No, totally. But like I say, I've said this a million times before and I'm going to beat the same drum. Goodwin is just too stubborn to have any kind of fluid formation or fluid tactic like that. It's his way or the highway, unfortunately, and it's just, like I say, it's just so disappointing that I'm sitting here saying this. I remember, I think it was probably after the Rapid Vienna game, or maybe a couple of podcasts after it, whatever, saying how I really trust him and I trust his signings. He's had such great recruitment this season. The players that we've got in look so good, and I'm really expecting good things from this season. To be sat where we are right now, staring the bottom 6, well, we're not staring the bottom 6 finish down the barrel. We've already been shot with that bullet. We are going to finish in the bottom 6. To be punted out the League Cup by a team flirting with a playoff, Kilmarnock, and to be punted out the Scottish Cup by the newly promoted team, who, albeit credit where it's due, are playing decent football this season and are doing really well for themselves. It's just such a letdown and a real betrayal of trust, because I had high expectations for this team. I remember I was never thinking we were going to do a Hearts and challenge for the title, but I remember sitting at Tannadice after that Vienna game thinking, you know what, this is a team that can maybe make it to Hampden this season, maybe get to a semi-final, maybe get to a final, maybe not win it, but maybe be up there competing, you know what I mean? And it's just fucking fizzled out to fuck all.
I just want to jump in here. I just talk about the point you made there, Martin, about his recruitment. And I think Goodwin's actually got an eye for a player. We've seen that when we first signed the boys, that they all seem to have a bit of ability about them. And if you look at boys like Aberdeen, you had, I think it was Ramadan and Miovski,
yeah.
Two very good players. He's clearly got an eye for talent, but he doesn't have the eye to train them and develop them and build a team around them.
Totally.
And that's what the problem is.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that's where Presley's excelled this season, and Dundee's coaching staff as a whole, is that you can see every week they're getting better and better and better, and that's through coaching. Neil, I'm sure you'll agree with that. Dundee have got better this season, not because, I mean, yeah, they've added players in January, and all the players they've added in January have had bits and pieces of a say. Cotterill with the most in Halliday before he picked up his hamstring injury. But Dundee players, from the ones who were retained from last season and the ones who were signed in the summer, have all improved.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the whole, like you say, we've given away silly points here and there, which is all part of the process. I understand it's much as frustrating as it is at times, but you have got to realise that's part of the process. But yeah, they are getting better and better, these players. Like you said earlier, unfortunately, a few of them are on loan, which you're almost hitting that reset button again come the end of the year. But you'd like to think Presley will recruit again and get a good summer with these guys, new guys, because we will need new guys, there's no doubt about that, and he'll do hopefully the same, but maybe at a much earlier time of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we move on, Jack, I'll have your score prediction for the weekend before I let you know what mine is, obviously, so we don't know what each other have went for.
I'm going to go with a very comfortable 2-0 Dundee win.
Well, I've went for 2-2.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, what about yourself, Martin? Obviously, you're not part of the challenge, but we'll hear yours.
2-2. You clearly haven't seen much United recently if you think we're scoring twice in this game. You know what? I actually have been thinking about it, and I've went for the same as Jack. I'm thinking probably 2-0 Dundee. If Dundee can exploit our weaknesses, there's a goal or two in there, and really, going forward, I just don't think we can exploit you. For some reason, we're not playing with the creativity right now to score 2 goals in a game. I think, obviously we scored 2 against St Mirren last week, but the Derby's a totally different game, and Dundee are a far better team than St Mirren. I don't think we've got a goal in us, never mind 2.
Okay, and just finally, Neil, what about yourself?
Yeah, kind of going along the lines of 2-0 Dundee, just because I've got a bit of a good feeling about this, but this could well come back to bite me in the arse. But yeah, I think 2-0 would probably, take that. Obviously, take anyone in the derby, of course you would. But a nice, calm, sort of almost convincing 2-0 win would be over the moon with that. But that doesn't seem to be the Dundee way when it comes to the big games, the games that matter. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. Yeah, that was a long-winded 2-0 prediction there.
A nice, calm 2-0 win is not going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. But for my nerve's sake, I'm hoping I'll have a couple of pints before the game, so that'll maybe calm me down a bit. Actually, I was going to say to you, Jack, what stop are you getting on at on the train, mate?
What do you mean?
Oh, you must be going to the game. I'll meet you on the train. I'm getting the train from Edinburgh.
I'm not going, mate. Not a chance. I'm working that day.
The thing is, though, that's a good thing, because Jack's never seen Dundee beat United, so that's a good thing.
Right, well, stay away then, Jack.
Yeah, I might just come just for the sake of it.
Jack, I've seen somebody selling a ticket on Facebook. Snap it up.
I might do.
And get you both in the home end, and you could do a 2013 repeat.
We won that time.
Yeah, we did. Again, that was a funny one. Dundee were the better team that day, but they just shot themselves in the foot. Dundee played the better football, but we had the ability to put it in the net that day.
Dundee had the fucking shite team that they had that season. Okay, so Neil, you didn't take part in the Derby quiz last time, but we are the reigning champions, Dundee, in the quiz. The rules are 5 questions about Dundee, 5 questions about United for the other guys, and then 5 Dundee-related Derby questions, and vice versa. Jack, since you're the team captain for United, heads or tails?
Tails never fails.
Tails. Would you like to go first or second?
Let's go first.
Okay. And are you putting Martin to go first or second?
Martin can go first.
Let's have
it. Neil, would you like would you like to go for 3 related Derby questions, or would you like the 3 Dundee questions?
Christ almighty, honestly, no idea, mate. You go for it, because my knowledge of that sort of stuff's absolutely terrible. You're like a library when it comes to that. So whatever whatever you're going to excel in, let's go for that.
Right. Well, you can go first then. But obviously we're asking the questions first. Did you say Martin's going to go up first, Jack?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Right. So Martin, question 1. If you just let me be really, really unprofessional and get my scores ready.
Is there a trophy involved in this, mate? 'Cause it's about our only chance.
Yeah, we get a trip to Hampden if we win this.
Christ almighty, God. You took that too far there. Dundee didn't know their way at Hampden. Couldn't get there if there was a concert on.
No. Right, Martin. Okay, question number 1. What year did the club change its name from Dundee Hibernian to Dundee United?
Let me think. It will be 1923. Let me just think about that.
Can you hear him typing on his keyboard?
I'm going to say 1923, because I'm sure it was 2023. We wore that white heritage kit against Arbroath on a Friday night.
Bingo. Correct answer.
Nice.
Booyah. Let's go, man.
Okay.
Okay, so question 1.
Neil's up first.
According to the D Archive, prior to this season, who is the most recent player to have only made 1 appearance in their time at the club?
Christ almighty. Prior to this season, who's the
most recent player to have only made 1 appearance in their time at the club?
God, Andrew, I'm sorry, mate. That's
I
that's
wouldn't know that either.
to me. Like,
I wouldn't know that.
no, to be honest, I'm not even going to guess. Go for it. Go on, give us an answer.
Arvid Schenk, 2015.
Oh, God.
Christ almighty, fucking that's brutal, mate. Come on.
They're all difficult this time.
Okay, Jack. I feel like I've went far too easy on you two bastards, right? Question number 2. United played under what name, which inspired the 1967 kit change to Tangerine?
Dallas Tornado.
Correct.
Okay. What goalkeeper has the most clean sheets for Dundee?
Oh, God. So you're thinking longevity, are you? So, Ali Donaldson, maybe. Is Ali Donaldson? Is that his name? I'm going to go for... We'll say Bobby Geddes.
Ali Donaldson.
Ah!
123.
Absolute nightmare.
Right, Martin. Question number 3. Against which opposition was the record Tannadice attendance set?
I could trip up here because it might be a bit obvious, but I'm sure it's Barcelona. Andy?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Barcelona's correct. 1966 November, and it was 28,000.
Yeah, I thought it was the first time we played them, yeah.
This was a bit of a rout, Neil, so Europe... Is it me?
It's Neil.
Neil, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yippee.
Simon Murray currently holds the lead for the most goals for Dundee this season so far. But who's second?
Simon Murray's got the most, has he? Christ, he never turned up till about a couple of weeks ago. Oh, God. Just trying to think. God almighty. I'm only thinking Hamilton recently, but God, he only got his first goal against... I'll not be him. But if you're saying the bar's that low with Simon Murray... Christ. I bet it's a defender too. Wouldn't be surprised. No, I don't know, mate. Ashley, but I don't think that's the right answer.
Ashley's third. It's Clark Robertson.
Oh, I knew it was a defender too. That's a shiter. Sorry, Andy.
It's alright, we're getting pumped here. Should have went for harder questions. Okay, Jack, you up next? Question 4.
I am.
Okay. What was the score the last time United played at Hampden in a cup semi-final or final?
That would have been... Well, final would have been the most recent one, no? Any cup or Hampden, sorry.
So, the game was at Hampden. What was the game? What was the score? And so, it's basically, the reason I put cup semi-final or final is because it wasn't against Queen's Park.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think... I could be completely wrong with this. I think it was the game against Aberdeen. And was it 2-1? I'm going to go that one. 2-1 United against Aberdeen.
Incorrect.
Oh, what was it?
United 0, Hibs 2 in the 2021 Scottish Cup semi-final.
Oh. Rubbish. Okay, so, according to Transfermarkt, who in Dundee's team has the most goal contributions this season?
Congreve.
Correct.
There we go. On the board, Neil.
That's the only one I got right.
Right, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
United defeated CE Principat 17-0 on aggregate in the 1997-98 UEFA Cup. Which country are they from?
Andorra.
Correct.
Oh, let's go! Okay. There are 2 players currently playing that have scored 11 goals against Dundee in their playing career. Who are they?
From any team, like?
What was that?
From any team, did you say?
Yeah, so there's 2 players currently playing that have scored 11 goals against Dundee in their career. You can name one.
Oh, I mean, obviously it's not me, but I could take a hazard at one of them.
Well, I think due to the nature of this podcast, is Johnny Russell by any chance?
Nah.
Nah, wrong. No. Who are you saying, Andy?
A Tavernier?
Nope. We've got Lorne Shankland and Billy Mackay.
Well, that's that, yeah.
Christ, yeah.
You could add Nisbet to that. Nisbet scores at a time against Dundee as well.
Nisbet's got 10. Yeah.
Okay, that's another one wrong. So going into the second half of the quiz, it's currently 4-1. Right, is it Jack to go next?
I believe so.
Yep. Okay, so this is the Derby related question. So, who is the last player to sign directly to United from Dundee?
I've got two names in my head. I think it's either Scott Robertson or Paul Dixon. I'm going to go Scott Robertson.
Incorrect, Dixon.
Okay. Right. My first one for the Derby. I think it's you, Andy.
It is, yes.
Only once has a Dundee Derby been played at a neutral venue. What stadium was it?
Tynecastle.
Correct.
Right, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
How many Dundee Derby goals did Paul Sturrock score for United?
14.
Correct.
What a shout that is.
Where on earth did you pick that out from?
I'm not going to lie, I was close to saying 13, but I was a ballhead. Better not say that on the podcast. I was
that's sure there's been worse.
Scrub that, probably. No, I was that close to saying 13, but I thought, nah, it's not 13, it's 14, is it? It's just one of these random facts that you remember.
Absolute great play. Okay, so it's me now. Neil, what was the score in the neutral game?
The one at Tiny Light.
One at Tynecastle, correct.
You should know this, Neil.
Come on now. I don't know. 2-2.
Oh, close. 3-2 United.
Oh, Christ.
I'm sure Dundee were 2-0 up at half time. Right, Jack, you're up next. To be honest with you, I think you have won already. I don't think we can win this now. I think you need to get every question wrong, and we need to get every question right to draw it. And I've got no backup questions, so
That's fine.
as well, it could only be a draw if neither of us are getting to Hampden. Right, okay, question number 8. United won 6-2 on January 1st, 2015. Name the goal scorers.
Right, well, we've got Charlie Telford. We've got... Wait, 2015?
Yep.
Yeah, Charlie Telford, GMS, Erskine. How many scorers were there?
I'm not telling you that.
Oh. Probably Stuart Armstrong. And I think it's probably 5 scorers. I'll go John Rankin.
So who's your 5?
Telford, Rankin, GMS, Erskine, and Armstrong, or whoever I said.
You said Armstrong, right? Okay, so you're wrong by 1.
Oh.
So you take out Rankin and you put in Foyut.
Oh well. Okay. So you up next, Andy?
Yeah, question 8, yeah.
There's been 47 draws in the Dundee Derby, but how many of them were goalless?
Oh, good in.
And what on the win this time?
I'm pretty sure you've got to give us like a round off number, like within
Right, I'll
something.
give you 2 off.
2 off either way, right? Okay. 0-0 draws. How many did you say? How many draws have been? 40 odd?
47.
5.
Wrong. There's been 11.
Oh God. Okay, well done, guys.
Woohoo!
That was good.
Right.
I tell you what, Jack, you were bloody ruthless with your questions there.
I can't.
Mate, wait till the next one. Oh my God.
That's for Neil. Martin, question 9. We'll finish it off.
Aye.
Question 9. There is one closer derby than Dundee in Europe. Where is it?
One closer derby than the Dundee Derby. It's got to be Milan.
Nope.
Is it Paris?
Paris, yes.
Paris, yeah, of course.
Right.
What are they football grounds or a fucking parking structure here? What's going on here? They're on top of each other.
They're actually back to back, I think.
Go on Google Earth and have a look at it tonight.
Right, Neil, I'm just going to wish you good luck for this question, mate, alright?
You know what this is?
Quizmaster.
This is match fixing.
Right.
You know what? If we get a victory at the weekend because they got a victory the night, I'm no gear up for.
Right, if you get within 2 goals of this question, I'll give you it, right?
All right, Jack.
There was a friendly between the two sides in 1976-77. What was the score?
Before you say it, no, I wasn't born. It was what was that, Jack? A draw, did you say?
It was a friendly between the two sides in 76-77. What was the score? And I'll give you 2 goals leeway.
I'm going to go 9-8 Dundee.
Oh, it was 7-all.
Oh, well, that's within 2. Oh, is it?
No, it's not your boy. Sorry, Andrew.
That's alright. Right. Jack, I think you're last. You probably know this from my searching up of it. According to Arab Archive, there has been 192 derbies, both competitive and non-competitive. How many have United won?
It's in the 80s. Oh, 83?
Oh, no, you're wrong. 86.
Ah, damn. Okay. Well, last one, Andy, for you. To the nearest 1,000, the highest attended match between the two clubs was a 2-all draw at Dens in 1951. What was the attendance?
It was not like I'm pretty sure I read this earlier actually, and it's really annoying me now. Is it around about 28,000, something like that?
38,000.
38,000. Oh well.
Yeah. There you go. Championes.
It's a bit of a hollow victory in my opinion.
A win's a win, mate. Doesn't matter how it happens.
Okay, well, as the full-time whistle blows, it finishes 5-2 to you guys, so well done.
Nice one, Martin.
Well played, Jack, well played.
So, I think when Dundee and United face off against each other after the split, and we all join together again for another 4-way podcast, I'll be putting harder questions together somehow.
That's fine.
Anyway, thanks very much, guys, for your time tonight. That's been great. I really enjoyed that. Just before we go, if you could follow us on our social medias. On X, we are at Sandeman ST Pod. On Instagram, we are at the Sandeman Street Pod. And on YouTube, we are at the Sandeman Street Podcast. You know what to do. Subscribe and follow, share, all that sort of stuff. So thanks very much for listening. Hopefully we'll have a great derby to speak about next week, and have a great weekend in general. Thanks very much. Bye for now.